Hello, here is the Sunday School lesson for the 12th of July, and it's titled An Illustration of Greatness. So this lesson is going to be about how if we want to lead, we have to serve. The scripture is John 13, 1 through 17. And you're going to recognize the story immediately. It takes place during the Last Supper. Jesus was preparing the 12 apostles for life without him and how they were going to carry on. And they were sitting down to the final Passover meal together. So let's read John 13, 1 through 5. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. So Jesus knew that he was about to return to God, but he still had some earthly responsibilities, final responsibilities that he had to take care of. So now washing feet was the job of a servant. The guests would come in from the road, and the owner of the house would have a servant available to wash their feet. Now, being this was a private meal, there wasn't a servant available. Also, the lesson tells us that working with a towel wrapped around your waist was the sign of the lowest possible slave that you could have, right? And Jesus took it on himself to perform this role to show the disciples how he expected them to act. They were not to argue about who was going to be the greatest, as Luke tells us they were doing just before this took place. So now let's read John 13, 6 through 11. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he said not everyone was clean. So he got to Peter, and Peter said, "There's no way you're going to wash my feet. You're the master, and I'm the servant. You should not be doing this." And Jesus told him, "Unless you let me wash your feet, you're going to have no part in this." And at that point, Peter said, "Oh, well, if that's the case, then wash my whole body," right? And Jesus is trying to make his point again, and he says, "No, if you've had a bath, you're clean, and the only part of you that needs to be washed is your feet." He was again emphasizing his role as a servant. So then in John 13, 12 through 17, we read, "When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. 'Do you understand what I have done for you?' he asked them. 'You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them.'" So as usual, Jesus had to make it very clear for the disciples before they understood what was going on. But the point he was making to them is, you have to serve one another in order to be leaders, and none of us is greater than any of the others.